Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's Dubpace back from my break and in my new recording studio. And today's video will be a pull by pull guide to successfully pulling a AQ40 as a hunter. So I'm making this guide for all of the hunters out there that feel a little bit of stress and anxiety when you are learning to pull a raid for the very first time. As many of you know, if you mess up your pulls, you will wipe the entire raid, and people are not always the kindest after losing all of their world buffs, losing their record clear time, my Warcraft logs. So this video is for you guys. I hope I can help you prepare for pulling AQ40 successfully. Let's jump right in with the first pull. For the very first pull, it's quite simple. There is one of the mana drain mobs, the Obsidian Eradicators, that patrols right up to this rock on the right hand side. You can grab it just when it pauses right next to the rock. For the next pack of 4 Anubisath Sentinels, this is typically pulled by 4 tanks all running in and picking up their mob, and is not pulled by the hunters. The one suggestion that I do have is make sure that you position yourself as one of the first people that will make it to the doorway to the first boss room, just so that you can have quick eyes on the next patrol that you need to grab, as there are 2 mana drain mobs that are patrolling in the next room that it's the hunter's responsibility to pull. And here's that next pull coming up right now. I enter the doorway, I see this Obsidian Eradicator right positioned in between, in line with the stairway, and just a quick arcane shot. Pull that as soon as you can. After the first Eradicator has died, there's a choice. You can either wait for the second Eradicator to patrol all the way around the stairs, or you can pull the 4 Sentinels first and hope that you kill the 4 Sentinels before the Eradicator arrives. Personally, for me, I opted for a safer choice here because an early wipe would probably be the worst thing possible on Dark Moon Fair Week. And so pulling this Eradicator, I tell myself I let it come out, which is about right here. You gotta let it go further, and then you tag it. It starts to kind of veer off in another direction, and that's when you tag it. When it's really just perfectly pulled out away from those mobs, you don't want to accidentally aggro the Sentinels. For the Sentinels, again, just like the first set, this is not typically pulled by the hunter and will rather be pulled by the tanks. And directly after these 4 Sentinels is the first boss. For this guide, we're going to skip talking about bosses altogether because I want to be focused on how to pull AQ40. So let's jump ahead. So directly after the first boss dies, mount up right away and move quickly to the bottom of the stairs. You can help your tanks mark up the mobs if they aren't doing so already. And for this pack, it's again another one of those packs where the raid moves in to meet it rather than the hunter pulling it. But the one really important caveat that I wanted to put in with this is that I do believe as the person pulling, you need to be so cognizant of your positioning. And you'll note that I position myself right in the cave entrance of the next area where we need to go. As soon as those mobs die, I immediately mount up and I start searching for the next patrol, which is a pack of 3 warriors. And here we are, rounding the corner into this larger room. There is a pack down on the right that can be proximity aggroed, so make sure you hug to the left. And you see me searching here for this warrior patrol. This is always the first thing that we kill, and it's unlucky timing that it's nowhere to be found, but you do want to be the first one down here so that you can pull it if it's patrolling away from this general area. You'll see that in this circumstance, we do find that warrior pack down by Bug Trio, and the raid's going to make quick work of this now. And skipping ahead here, we do go to Bug Trio first, and you'll note that this next pack is not pulled by the hunter, but rather we jump down. But if it is asked to be pulled by the hunter, I would just suggest using your pet to pull it back to the raid group, as you don't want to get mind controlled by the brainwasher. Inside of the Bug Trio boss room, there are 2 more packs that must be pulled, and These are typically always pulled by a hunter because they're deep in the cave and you don't want to accidentally aggro the boss. For me, you'll see I send Pixel, my pet, in to go grab this pack and just pull it back. No Eyes of the Beast. You can always use Eyes of the Beast if you want to, but typically I keep it simple and I just use just a simple pet in, dash, and then I pull it back, pet passive. If you successfully pulled the first pack, congratulations, as the second pack is going to be the exact same, except it's on the right-hand side. I do suggest pull the left-hand side and then the right-hand side, as I think the mobs are a little close to the entryway on the left, and if you pull the right-hand side first, you might aggro the mobs on the left, and that could very well be a wipe, although you should be okay even if you did double pull here. After that is the boss, and as we're not going into the bosses, good luck on Bug Trio, and let's skip ahead. So you just killed Bug Trio, and don't forget, as the hunter that is pulling, you want to be the first person to mount up and one of the first people leading the charge going into the next room so you can get more information about what is going on. The next pack and the next pull is actually an important choice. You can either choose to pull the 6 Vecnis Guardians, or you can take the time and wait for the warrior pack. There's another pack of 3 warriors that has a patrol just barely outside into the hallway where you typically pull this Guardian pack. The last 2 weeks, you'll see I'm constantly looking in the video. I'm looking in that hallway. I'm looking in. I'm trying to find that warrior pack. I don't see it anywhere. I eventually bite the bullet. I pull the Guardians. And it seems like every time I do this, just moments later, that warrior pack shows up. And there it is. So you can try to wait for that warrior pack. Grab that first if you want to be safe. But it is also safe to just pull the Guardians with the warrior pack. Moving on to the next 2 Vecnis Guardian packs in the hallway. Just quickly, if it's someone's first time, you don't pull the packs on the left-hand side, you only pull the packs on the right-hand side. And my guild pulls both of these packs all the way back to where you fight the initial Vecnis Guardian pack, simply because the Guardians do that big knockback, and there's a high % chance that some raid member might get knocked into one of the left-hand side packs. For both of these pulls, I do always use my pet. For the first one, I don't use Eyes of the Beast, and I actually don't in the second either, but I would suggest using Eyes of the Beast for the second pack. I'm going to start doing that, even though it's not shown here. These are straightforward. If you find yourself in trouble or in a position where you are very far away from your raid group, you can always use a swiftness potion to try to close the gap. After those 2 Guardian packs, you have made it to Battleguard Sartura, and after Sartura is the bug gauntlet, or it's sort of like the bug suppression room. There's not any hunter pulling to be done, so we're going to skip ahead to the tail end of the bug gauntlet. Although I will just mention as a casual hunter tip that I definitely suggest using a 2-hand weapon when you are in the gauntlet, just so that you can stay with the melee and still do some decent damage. And I also use about 5 oils of immolation during this time as well, just so I can be helping the raid with some AoE damage despite not having Arcane Explosion. At the end of the bug gauntlet, the boss that you find is, of course, Fankriss, the easiest boss in AQ40. And directly following Fankriss, you should know as the hunter whether or not you're going to Viscidus right away, in which case you want to put on your NR gear, Cold Rage daggers on, put your Frost Oil on, or are you moving towards Princess Huhuran, in which case you want to be positioning yourself closer to the Huhuran Trash side, which is the 2 giant Scorpids. For the sake of the video, again, I'm skipping all the bosses. We'll just completely skip talking about Visk and go straight to pulling those Scorpids. And here we are. This is the post-Fankriss Trash. There are 3 packs of 2 Vecnis Hive Crawlers, so 3 pairs of these Scorpids. You'll notice that I didn't even pull these, although the hunter can pull them. The raid just met these mobs where they were. because they're some of the easiest trash, if not the easiest trash in the entire raid. Do note though that I position myself in front of the entire raid, and as soon as combat drops, I immediately mount up and start moving to find that third pack of scorpids. And here we are coming up on the final pair of scorpids to fight, and just beyond you will see the pre-Huhuran Trash room, which in my opinion is the hardest part to pull as a hunter. I would suggest really moving up during the final pack of the scorpids and start surveying the room. The very first pull is the hardest one in this room, and I would strongly suggest grabbing something that is close to the mouth of the cave while you can see to the left of the cave in that little indent where packs can frequently skip out. Once again, you'll notice I immediately start moving during this, and I'm looking for the next pack. You're about to see me make a really big mistake. I don't pull close to the mouth of the cave. I'm doing exactly what I tell you not to do. I realize I'm very out of position. I pop a swiftness potion and I start running. I'm very lucky I didn't get 3 packs right here. This is why you cannot pull across the cave in the early parts. We do get 2 packs. It results in 2 deaths, which are 100% my fault. And I wanted to leave this in so that you know this is a dangerous room. Stuff can really go wrong, and just pulling close to the mouth of the cave will really help you for the first 1 or 2 packs, and then you can start going deeper in the cave after that. Additionally, I also wanted to mention that you really need to make sure you have Elixir of Poison Resistance hotkeyed or placed on your hotbars for you to click if you are out pulling and you have the itch debuff. Then you want to be able to cleanse your own poison, because if you have outranged your healers, when the itch wears off, you get the poison and you're not near your healers, so you're probably going to die, especially if you pull and a stinger charges you. So always make sure that if you are staying ahead of the group and you are, I guess, essentially away from all the dispellers, be ready to cleanse your own poisons. Take it under personal choice that you are going to be the one to solve that problem, rather than crying for a healer to dispel blah blah blah. They're busy, they're healing the raid, they're drinking, they're getting ready for you. You wanted to keep it going. I strongly suggest take charge. You be the one to cleanse the poisons here and pick apart this room slowly, deliberately, and carefully. Just be deliberate. You can go fast in the later stages of the room, go slow in the earlier stages, and just be really deliberate. Now, as you clear through the room and move towards Huhuran, I will mention that there are 2 patrols that go into Huhuran's room. One of them typically stays in that general area and just comes to the mouth of the cave right before Huhuran. That's typically the last pack that you'll pull, and you'll see in the video that is the last pack that we pull. But there's another one that patrols in there as well and comes further out into the cave. It is good to move the raid up if those are the final 2 packs that are remaining, because you want to be closer to the boss so that you can pull sooner rather than later. And continuing with our typical fashion for this video, we're going to be skipping the Huhuran boss fight. Good luck, and following up soon after the fight, position yourself and be ready to pull the first mob of the pre-Twin Emps Trash. The pre-Twin Emps Trash consists of 5 Anubisath defenders, and I'll talk about the patrols of each of those 5 defenders. If you pull 2, your raid group is going to wipe. The very first one patrols very deep in the hallway coming toward Huhuran's room, and if you can grab it directly after the Huhuran fight and your raid is ready to take it, you should absolutely grab it. It's a long patrol, and it also goes around the corner to the left and becomes hidden during its patrol and can trick you into thinking that it's safe to grab another defender during that time. I will show that patrol in this video just so you guys know what that looks like. make sure that you pull this very front-facing one first, because it will patrol into your raid group and wipe you if you don't get it first. One super quick note is if your pet gets plague, and you should be pulling with your pet for all of these pulls. You do not want to be up close to these mobs, because if it's meteor, it's just going to kill you right away. The mob will just one-shot you. They're going your buffs. It's not a good scenario. If your pet gets plague, make sure to pull it out of the raid group and use a stay command before joining back up in the stack. Just a side note, you really need to watch out for that. Otherwise, you can kill your teammates. The next 3 mobs that you need to pull are dangerous because they are oftentimes in close proximity with another, but the way that they patrol, they will always separate themselves at some point. If you imagine a clock, there is one mob that is patrolling between 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock right in front of you. And then there are 2 mobs moving in opposite directions that are going around that middle mob. So you just want to wait until one of them is separated, particularly the ones that are moving in the clockwise, counterclockwise motion. Pull one of those and then pull the opposite one, and then the raid can move forward and pull the middle mob, the one that's just patrolling vertically up and down. And here we are at the ultimate and final pull of the pre-Twin Emps trash. Right after this is Twin Emps. And if you've made it this far, congratulations. Stay focused, because the next section after Twin Emps is the hardest trash in the entire raid and is quite technical to pull. Good luck on Twin Emps. And here we are, the hardest trash in the raid. It's time to really focus up, because if you pull 2 of these packs, it is almost certainly 150 million% a wipe. And I've been there. The first suggestion that I have is you really want to take a moment in the beginning, watch the patrols. Keep in mind, if something patrols out of sight, you need to constantly be asking yourself in your mind, where did that go? And if stuff is grouped up, you need to wait for a good time to pull when everything has been separated. You'll see the first pack that I grab here is a Mind Slayer pack. And of course I pull with my pet, and I pull deep into the room around the corner so that with the line of sight, it's a bit easier for the tanks to pick up each of their targets. In addition to this being the hardest set of trash in the raid, it's also the absolute longest stretch of trash in the raid as well. So keep that mental focus up each time you go up to pull. And something that I don't do in this run that I do want to experiment with in future runs is, if a pack is particularly far away, I do think it is beneficial to use Eye of the Beast to maintain your character further away from your pet while you're pulling, because the Mind Slayers do have a tendency to mind flay some of the closest targets to them. And that mind flay, if you're caught out in a position away from your healers, you will 150% die. It's just, it does a ton of damage. And if your healers aren't with you, and you're forcing the raid to have to move up to you or whatever, it's not good. So if you are like me and you're pulling without using Eye of the Beast, I would say make sure you have limited invulnerability potions close on hand so that you can drop aggro and safely make it back to your raid group if things go south. Otherwise, experiment using Eye of the Beast. And lastly, I'm not going to add any prescription on the exact way that you should be pulling each of these packs in this section, because it's too variable. The packs are always grouped differently. They seem to always be patrolling in different ways. The main thing is just apply the exact same principles that you used pulling the pre-Huhuran Trash, where when it's very congested and everything is up in the beginning of the pulls, go very slow and deliberate. Make sure you watch patrols first, you see where they're going, and if there's a clean separation, then at that time it's safe to pull. Otherwise, Pixel. Sorry guys, quick break from the video. This is my sweet cat Pixel, the real life version. He came to hang out. What am I gonna do? Tell him to jump down? No. He's awfully cute. The final pack of this hallway has a very short patrol and just goes back and forth between the entrance to the next cave and this angle right at the edge of the wall. I do suggest, of course, you leave this pack for last in this hallway. And after you kill it, your raid can move up a bit on the ramp, but don't go all the way in, as there is a patrol that is circling the entire next room, and you will accidentally aggro that if people move too far up. And here is that pack that I was talking about that circles this entire room. You do want to pull this pack, if you think of the room as a clock again, right at the 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock position. And after a disastrous moment in a previous raid in which I wiped everybody by trying to pet pull, I do suggest that you use just a normal arcane shot pull, and you can combo that with a swiftness potion to ensure that you get quickly back to your raid group and you're going to have no problems with getting hit with Mind Flay or anything like that. Again, make sure that you're pulling closer at the 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock position, and don't stretch it out to this 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock position, as I've noticed many of these mobs sometimes have a delay when you pull them, where they keep walking for a second or two before they aggro, and if they keep walking into one of the side packs, then you will pull that as well and almost certainly wipe. And the next two pulls are relatively straightforward. Just wait for the middle patrol pack to patrol towards the other further away cave, and then use your pet on each side to pull the 3 packs with the 2 obsidian nullifiers and 1 obsidian warder. These are quite simple. Kill those quickly, and then move up to be able to pull the next patrol where the middle pack that you were avoiding before patrols back to the front and grab it. And now you are this close to being home free. There's one more challenging pull, which is just the patrolling pack that patrols down from the Cthulhu room and kind of pats out in between the 2 packs with the obsidian eradicators and warders. Right when it gets in that sweet spot in the middle of the 2 and it patrols the furthest it comes out, just grab it with an arcane shot, run back to the group, and then you don't even need to pull the final 2 packs because typically the tanks just run in. Congratulations. You have pulled your very first AQ40, and I hope it was successful. If no one shows you appreciation, I want to say I appreciate you for pulling. I don't think pulling as a hunter is as well appreciated as it should be because it is extremely high stakes. It's just like the stress that you might feel if you are the raid leader or main tank, and you know that just one mistake that you make can ruin the whole raid for everyone else. It can be very stressful. So I hope this video helped you. Congratulations. And it would be reckless of me to not ask you to consider liking and subscribing to my channel. I hope to catch you all next time.